Good evening, everyone. This is a meeting of the Town of Great Barrington's Finance Committee. We're meeting by Zoom, and this is Tuesday, September 16th, 2025, beginning the meeting at 6 p.m. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law 30A, Section 18, and Governor Healy's March 3rd, 2025 order extending remote participation by all members in any meeting of a public body, this meeting of the Finance Committee will be conducted via remote participation. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with a right and/or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town's website. For this meeting, members of the public and committee members may attend the meeting remotely following the instructions at the top of this agenda, and every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. Pursuant to Mass General Law 7C 30A, Section 20, Parent F, after notifying the chair of the public body, any person may make a video or audio recording of an open session of a meeting of a public body or may transmit the meeting through any medium. At the beginning of the meeting, the chair, myself, shall inform other attendees of any other such recordings. Any member of the public wishing to speak at the meeting must receive permission of the chair. The listings of agenda items are those reasonably anticipated by the chair which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. So we can begin the meeting by a call to order and roll call. May I ask, Michelle, are you present?
Michelle is present. Thank you.
Milena, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
And Anne, are you present?
Here as well.
And I, Richard, am present, but I think we are still waiting for Madonna, who will join us soon.
And Rich, can you just ask if anybody else is recording? I just realized I'm going to be doing the backup audio recording.
Yes, is there anyone else from the public or
I
from?
think it looks like someone on the Berkshire Edge is recording.
Okay, I will assume that they are.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you guys, for panelists, can you see attendees as well in your screen?
There is a list that I can bring up showing
Right.
attendees.
And you can see it says Berkshire Edge recordings. Do you see that?
I can't see that.
You don't see that?
Wait a minute. Hold on, Anne.
There's a little
Yes, got it
section
now.
called
Yep.
attending.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
Berkshire Edge has their hand up. Could you make it possible for them to speak?
They were
Sure.
probably just acknowledging your question.
Okay.
Oh, I see. Because yeah, the hand is down. Okay.
Very good. Okay. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Okay.
So first item of business on our agenda is our approval of minutes from our Finance Committee meeting via Zoom on Tuesday, August 12th, 2025. Did all members have a chance to review? I mean, I think the only people here who were in attendance, Madonna is also with us. Madonna.
Rich, I don't know if you can see Michelle has her hand up. I don't know if you can see that on there.
I see now. Michelle, your hand is up. Okay. Hello, Madonna.
Hello, I'm here.
Very good. Good to have you here. Michelle?
Yes, I was just wondering if you're going to address agenda item 2.
Committee member announcements.
Yes.
You know,
Or
that would be a very sensible thing to do since it is item 2. Thank you, Michelle. I just went right to the minutes. Sometimes I put them first. So do any committee members have any announcements or statements?
I do.
Michelle, will you like to begin?
I just want to take this opportunity to thank the Finance Committee and the Select Board for my appointment to the Finance Committee. As you know, I've been on the Finance Committee previously, and I've been involved in other aspects of town government. Over the years, I've heard from concerned taxpayers, unhappy taxpayers, and angry taxpayers. When talk of the interest in my being appointed to the Finance Committee started, I was approached by a lot of people. And that sometimes happens when a new person goes on a board or committee. And for the first time ever, I'm hearing from frightened and panicked taxpayers. They're afraid of what they're going to do if their taxes continue to increase. And this is very evident with our senior population. And if I heard it once, I heard it 1,000 times. The quote, "I don't know if I'll be able to keep my home." So I feel it's the duty of town leadership, this committee included, to try to allay those fears. And I'm honored to be a part of the process. So I think we really got to roll up our sleeves and buckle down and do something. Like I said, people are scared right now, and we need to help them. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. And do you have anything
Yeah,
to offer?
Yeah, Michelle, I just want to say, thank you for thanking us for having you join us. And I just want to thank you for volunteering to be an appointed member. And I look forward to working with you on the committee again.
Thank you, Anne.
Madonna, do you have anything you'd like to add?
We'll be talking about the school. So I just came from the walkthrough, so I hadn't been there.
We'll be talking about the school at a later in the meeting.
Yeah, that's all. And welcome aboard, Michelle.
Thank you, Madonna.
Milena, anything from you?
No. I think we'll have a lot to cover today, and welcome, Michelle. Yeah. Mhm.
Thank you, Elena.
And for myself, yes, welcome, Michelle. I'm glad you're a part of the committee. As I said before, I appreciate that you do a lot of homework and that you're actively participating in town government. And we need people like that who are interested in being a part of everything and making
you.
everything work better.
Thank you.
So we'll move on to item 3, which is the approval of minutes from the Finance Committee's meeting of August 12th, 2025. Did any members see any items that needed to be changed on the minutes?
I do actually. I think Madonna had a statement at that meeting that was not captured in the minutes.
Madonna, do you have that statement somewhere in writing?
Well, when I read the minutes, I think Stacy kind of encapsulated. I honestly, Milena, I don't really have a problem of it
Okay.
being verbatim.
Okay,
I-
it says there was no statement, but we did have a statement, but I'm fine either way.
Yeah, I mean, I think it captured the gist that I had concerns about the other candidate and their
Okay.
qualifications, as well as, a disparaging comments about our finance committee. So I think Stacy Ostro did fine.
Very good. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the Finance Committee meeting of August 2nd, 2025.
Second,
So I'll do a roll call. Anne,
Aye.
Madonna,
aye.
Milena,
Aye.
and myself, I. Michelle was not yet a member of the committee, so I'm not calling on Michelle's vote. Okay, passes unanimously. Now, bear with me. Ally, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
We appreciate the capital expenditures and encumbrances reports that you sent us. And perhaps you could talk us through that a little bit so we can understand more fully what we are seeing.
And would it be okay if I put it on the screen for all? to
That would
see
be
so we
excellent
can
if
walk
you
through
would.
together? Yeah.
Yeah.
That would help me a lot. Okay. So this is the order I have it.
Yeah, I think this is the first thing that we wanted to look at, the budget report. These are the expenditures and encumbrances that we're looking at. Because we started this process of trying to understand how the projects that have been approved at town meeting, how they actually get rolling in the town, and at what point do we hit the point where we actually take out the loan for the full project. Ally keeps a track of all of these projects. Ally, could you talk a little bit about this this report?
Absolutely. First, I do apologize that it's a little confusing when there's 2 years open, 2 fiscal years open in Munis. It gets a little hard to follow. And that's why if you just disregard this column that says encumbrances on this report, because FY25 is not closed yet. So the FY25 purchase orders have not been carried forward. So they're not included in that. So from the first one, you see the Memorial Field improvements, you can see that 27,367.53 was expended, but over in the encumbrances, it says negative 27,367.53 because it's on a purchase order from 2025. Thereby in 26, it's saying it's a negative. So this report here, I'm just giving you solely for the expended to date. And you had asked me for through the end of August, but because the open PO reports that you'll see below are not, I'm not able to put them to a specific date. It's kind of as I do it at that moment. So that's why, so that everything jives, I did it all the same day so that you're looking at all the information at the same time.
Ellie, if I may, you are a bit fast for me, frankly. If you just take as an example this line, which has the cleaners cleanup, and just kind of explain maybe the chronology of that particular item, because I see it's full year, it's fiscal year 22. It's showing we don't have any budget available for that, but obviously we expect, you know, something to be paid this year. Am I reading it correctly?
You are. Unfortunately, capital funds are multi-year funds, so they're not driven by appropriation. And that's why you don't see a budget amount in here, because essentially at year end, I take what the remaining balance is in the whole account and bump it forward. So that's why there really is no budget. So really what we're really paying attention to on this report, that's the most important thing for us to look at, is the year-to-date expended section. In that read cleaners section, you see the 65,000 under encumbrances. I did not highlight that, but that is showing as a positive because that's an FY26 purchase order. That's why I gave you the 2 purchase order lists below, so you could see all the encumbrances on every single one of these accounts.
Okay, I'm getting really confused here. Sorry about that. So what we are saying, really, there is something happening with the cleanup this year. We budgeted for that in 2022. We didn't spend the money in 2022 and you roll it forward. Is that correct?
No, actually, if you, I guess on this first report, the budget report, if we're just looking at the year-to-date expenditures only and not looking at the encumbrances, because it is confusing. If you go
so this is just the expenditure for to date, correct?
Yeah, so there's been no expenditures in that account. That 65,000.
That's right. Okay.
I didn't highlight it because I thought it would be a little confusing on this particular report. But if you go to the purchase orders by GL account for year period 2026, period 30.
Ellie, can you just tell me, it's not this page, it's
Keep going.
not this page.
Going.
Page what number?
It's the next report, but it's page 1.
Page 1. Yes, I see that here. I have a hard copy here. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So right there, you can see the read cleaners cleanup. And if you just keep going, I think a little more, again, probably about 3 more pages. There,
I see.
right here. So
Okay.
this second one down is where you can see that 65,000. So that's why I'm pulling your eyes over here to these for the purchase orders and on the other report for the expenditures.
Oh, I see. Okay. So you have but shouldn't they be the same? Because you cannot have an expenditure unless you have a purchase order. You have a purchase order, but not the expenditure, right? Correct?
Right, but what happens unfortunately in the system, there are 2 fiscal years open at the same time right now, fiscal year 25 and fiscal year 26. So until FY 25 has been closed and rolled forward in Munis, it shows up a little wonky like this. And that's why
Okay.
I wanted to give you separate pieces so you could see everything in front of you.
Okay, I hear you. Okay, so it's a timing issue here, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, I do apologize.
No, okay, no,
And
but
Ally,
that kind
I-
of does it for me. Thank you.
And Ally,
Yeah.
this is Ann. I'm assuming you are in the process of still, there's still a lot to close out in fiscal year 25, and you're still in the process of working on that?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Mhm.
Now, all of these expenditures, the money that was expended, that is paid out of what, in what way? Is that from the short-term borrowing that we're paying that, or is that out of a general fund of the town?
So I guess I wouldn't call it the general fund. I would just call it the cash flow of the town.
Cash flow of the
Um,
town, okay?
Essentially, capital works very similar to reimbursable grants where we spend prior to receiving the funds. So we spend, then we borrow for what we've expended, and that offsets the deficit, basically.
So we're using the cash flow of the town to start projects,
Mhm.
but then at a certain point, the town is reviewing all of that and saying, okay, we're now at the point where we have enough orders out and the project is going to move forward in a big way. Then we go for the full borrowing in November. Am I
Correct.
stating that correctly?
You are correct. So there is on occasion that, for example, we have a project, a street improvements project that is already lined up. It's all contracted. It's ready to go. So we might take advantage of the interest rate at that time and borrow for that project, even though only half of it is expended right now, but the other half of it is in the encumbrances.
But you are also doing a short-term borrowing. That's what you said last time, like
Yes.
before you go and issue the bond, right?
Yes, we did
Okay.
a short-term borrowing. We did a ban in June in the amount of 1,531,954.
Mhm.
So that was to cover any deficits through June 30th.
Okay,
That ban, that short-term borrowing comes due in November. So when we do our bond in November, we
that's when
are
you cover.
paying
Yeah.
off this
Yeah, okay.
short-term debt. Then we're covering any new expenditures, and then we're forecasting out to look at what purchase orders are
Right,
going forward, what aren't, and that's the 3 pieces that make up the borrowing
right,
essentially.
okay. I think that's clear. Thank you.
Sure.
And
Um,
Ally, can I
This
ask?
is Chris. Can I
Oh.
just jump in?
Yes,
So
please.
if you were to look at any of our borrowing summaries, indebtedness summaries, you'd see borrowings listed in this fashion. You'd see Memorial Field under the CPA borrowing. You'd see how much was borrowed and when, and that sort of thing. Just to follow up on that borrowing question.
But we don't get to see when the borrowing occurred, right?
Mm-hmm. Not on this report.
Okay.
Not on this.
There's a much larger report that is very finely detailed,
Hmm.
quite large. But I think this report gives us a flavor of what is in play. And I think it's important for us to see this report each time we meet so that we have a sense of how things are moving along. I mean, do you think once a month is reasonable, or should it be more months in between reviewing, looking at this report and comparing it to others? Allie or Chris, if either of you have a response.
I would say you probably would want to look at it monthly up until the bonding, just so that you
Yes.
know what's going on. And then maybe after the bonding has happened in November, then you can maybe do quarterly.
When do you imagine that well, then last year will be closed? When do you imagine that closes and this becomes perhaps a little bit clearer where we are for 26?
it's gonna be a little while. It's gonna be a little while. There are a lot of floating pieces, and with a lot of vacancies at the time, it's been rough trying to get things together. So I'm hoping for by the end of the year, by the end of December. Generally in my previous positions, it's always been October for me. So this is, I'm trying, it's been, I've been pulling it back early and earlier from the first year that I started. But again, this year has been a little unusual with all the vacancies happening at this time. So.
Can you expand on that a little bit? Just vacancies, it just sounds very vague.
Oh, town manager, the fact that we don't have HR director, I guess Chris could probably answer this.
Just the general workload in every department to get all of the documentation needed to square out the fiscal year. Expenses are over and those sorts of things. Everything is in. It's just getting all that documentation, making sure it's in the correct way. It's got to be entered in Munis. It's got to run through the report in the live or in the background, and then the live session through the accounting. And there's a few tests that go through, and not to get into the details. It just everybody's out at 500%. So trying to do one thing at a time. That's all.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Ally, can I ask, is there anything, it's a lot to take in, and this is helpful to talk through it. I think I want to look at it some more. But is there anything that while you were putting the report together for us that you thought, wow, this is something Ally, or the committee should be looking at or mindful of? Is there anything that jumped out at you that we should be aware of?
Well, I did in my email to you folks, I did put the answer basically that Rich was asking me a theoretical dollar amount of what the bond would be if we were to have to pay for the ban and then, roll the ban over into a bond, and this new, the expenditures to date and any purchase orders that are encumbered. And right now, as it stands, and again, this is based on the fact that everything is in Munis. If there are contract negotiations happening at this point and the purchase order hasn't been created in Munis, I don't know about it yet. So it's not on these reports. But as of right now, if everything got spent between now and November, and or we expect it to happen and we're going to borrow for it, it would be in the 7.4 million range. I know that you're looking to try to scale that back. So I guess the question then, and I don't know if Chris wants to pick up on this, is that I don't know where we go from here as far as deciding what moves forward, what is paused, because I don't know exactly where you want to go with the borrowing. You had indicated 3 to 5 million, trying to stay in that range. So I think that's really, what I would like to know is where your direction as far as where you think we need to kind of pull it in a little bit to try to keep that borrowing down.
Can we prioritize some of those purchase orders? For instance, I have a bugaboo about the kiosk that I was really in favor of many years ago, many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was fiscal 22 when the transfer station kiosk, it was approved at town meeting. It just seemed like that ship sailed. And it just seems to me, I mean, I know it's not very much money on a purchase order, but I don't think we have Joe Aberdale or we have enough information, but it just seems to me that it was a great idea at one time that we supported, and I supported it because I was like, other places, if you want to, get transfer, you want to get rid of something, some bulky waste or something, you could pay right at the transfer station. So I really like the kiosk idea. but I think the whole restructuring of the transfer station and the fees have left us that the kiosk almost seems, it's not even, it almost doesn't even seem worth it. Can somebody comment on that? Or maybe you don't want to comment on it. I don't know.
Well, a lot, the projects that you see in the expenditures or that have purchase orders, those projects are moving. So, things that have been moved and expended, we can't pull those back. So
Really?
that's the reason we need to
is it
discuss ahead of
really?
time and prioritize what
I
you
mean,
want to.
I'm just using that as, I'm just using that as an example of something that I think morphed into something that's almost irrelevant.
Actually, I think that I would like to add to it. Ali, could you or Chris or both of you comment of what we have of those 7.4 million that you kind of are estimating to be bonded? How much of it actually do we have the flexibility to reduce of that? Because what you are saying, I mean, we are showing us, the purchase orders, and some of them are like already, way out there. Some of them are maybe can still be pulled, but of those 7.4, what do you think realistically we can pull? And forget about what kind of a project it is, but at this moment, what is the progress on those items? Like, is it
We have
half?
to look
Is it
through
1/3?
we have to go through item by item, Elena.
So you would not be able to tell us either
I
at this
can't,
point. Ballpark. I mean,
yeah,
just from what you know, like what would be your guess?
I mean,
I'm not gonna guess right now. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
I'm just gonna say that the definitive things that need to be borrowed are the 1,000,005 for the ban rollover and the 1,000,003 that's been expended. So that's
That's
definitely.
definitely. So, I mean, that's kind of what the answer,
And I'm
yeah.
sorry, Ally,
Thank-
what was
thank
the
you, Ally.
1,000,005? The 1,000,003 has already been short-term
Okay.
borrowed, right?
So 1,531,954. That was the ban that we did, the short-term borrowing in
Yep.
June.
Okay,
That comes due in November. So that will be rolled into a bond. So
okay.
that dollar amount plus the year-to-date expenditures of 1,320,202.24 would definitely need to be borrowed in that
Right.
bond.
And when you say expenditures, these are capital expenditures that were approved to be covered by borrowing, correct?
Yes,
Okay,
yes, those are on that first report that
okay.
you had.
yep.
That was just showing you what's been expended year to date. Now, that's assuming that nothing else happens between now and
Right,
November.
right,
Nothing moves on those purchase orders. So just to give you an idea of that's
No, that's very
definitely.
helpful because that
Yeah.
just tells us how much room do we even have there? Because as of today, we may say we may be already at 3 million or close to it.
Close
And
to.
we may have some open
1.8,
purchase orders
yeah,
there, right? That we don't even
2.8.
know about. Yeah, yeah.
But,
So
can I
that's a good reality check here. Yeah.
Yeah.
But can I just dovetail then on Melina's question? So I guess I'm struggling. We're at about what is it? It's about 3 million right now, just under 3 million. But you're projecting that we could go as high as 7.5 million, and I'm just not, there must be big projects still pending between now and November?
Oh, absolutely. If you look on the purchase orders listing, you'll see that there's some pretty large purchase orders in play here.
I did look, and then I was sort of trying to find the large ones.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess
Well,
there's,
the sewer project phase 2 is a large one. I mean,
But
that's
that's
half a
wastewater, right?
million. Oh, you're right. You're right.
We still have to borrow for it, but you're right. It would be
Oh,
under that
yeah.
enterprise fund rather than general fund.
okay.
Correct.
But the big one seems to be the street and bridge improvements.
Yeah, I would say probably streets, wouldn't you, Chris?
Any chance that we can prioritize some of the ones that we might decide that we can wait on? Could we get a list? Just wondering.
I think that was the intent of our discussion about having a general cap on yearly borrowing. I think our intent was that we were wanting to hold back, it may be painful, some of the things that we need to hold back, but I think our intent was that we have to look at these before we encumber something so much more that we can't hold back, and we have to go to this, what I would call too high a range. It's not, it's it's much more than we had anticipated, and it doesn't look from the reports that I'm seeing that it's already encumbered at that level. Am I not seeing something? Am I missing something essential?
Well,
Or
if
are
you
we still at the place where we can not continue to encumber to the point where we have to take out 7.4 million?
If there are projects or purchases that can be delayed, we will certainly look at that. If there are projects in process, we can't walk them back now.
No.
I don't want to put words into Michelle's mouth, but I will say that your opening statement, Michelle, talking about the people that have been meeting you or, and speaking about their taxes, their concerns with the finance, that I think this is something that we if we do this correctly and look back at some of the purchase orders or things that still have not been fully addressed, I think that that's a good thing for the town to know that we're doing our due diligence.
I agree with you, Madonna. That goes to openness and transparency in the process. I also agree with Chris. If something's already in motion, you can't back out of it at this point. But I mean, I know of one project that probably cost a lot of money that was done, and for the life of me, I can't figure out why. And so, these are the hard questions I feel the finance committee must ask. Sometimes it's uncomfortable, but I agree with you, Madonna. I think if people know we did a deeper dive, not that not that the finance committee hasn't done its due diligence before, but take it up a notch and go a little further. I think that's what I talk about, allaying people's fears. And so I agree with you.
Well, I didn't even really, capture the idea that there was such a lag time in
Yeah.
between, because a lot of times at town meeting, and I go to all of them, you find that there's something that touches the hearts of the town, and they say, well, of course, we need that. And we voted in at town meeting, and you kind of think that that fire truck is going to show up next year. And of course, it could be a lot longer than that, many years, or we're going to get that bridge. And then years later, we're still waiting. And then I think if people knew that there's just this lag time, like I said, I don't want to pick on the transfer station kiosk, but the fact is that I just didn't think it was that big a deal to get it several years ago. And here we are just moping along. And I'm just like, I'm tired of even thinking about it.
But I also think
but
Ellie's been doing an excellent job explaining the process and the timeline.
Yeah.
I just ask, not everyone is in finance or in accounting. And I think during our budget processes, a little more explanation has to go along with that. And Allie, I really credit you. I think you're doing an excellent job.
thank you.
Rich?
So I wanted to just comment that, sometimes what we're attempting to do by it taking a long time is for us to prioritize. So even if the town is voting on projects, and this is what we were talking about last week, if the town is voting projects in, it's still up to administration to try to reasonably address how much the town can afford on any given year. So not every project can move quickly. And sometimes even the small ones, I think it's prudent that there is a delay in a lot of projects because I think we couldn't possibly immediately fund and move forward every project that we would like to. So I think the fact that things are delayed may be a good sign that we are trying to be prudent in how much borrowing we're actually going forward. That's what we're attempting to do by discussing some kind of cap on borrowing every year. Chris, do you think seeing the possibility of what could be moving forward, do you see this cap we've been discussing and that we're going to be uh, voting on with the select board at the end of the month? Is this something that we're looking at for next year? For how do you see that being integrated into the processes of the town?
A really good question. Um, Typically the select board and finance committee in the fall talk about the budget policy for the budget that staff is going to develop for the next fiscal year. So, we are currently already operating under policy and direction previously given to us. That being said, if a message is sent from the boards to hold whatever spending, for example, we would certainly do our best to follow that and prioritize projects in the near term. In the next year, and as we develop the budget for the coming year, obviously whatever policy you give us in the fall, we would be operating under that. I will add that take a town, just for talking purposes, say town meeting has authorized well, 3.5 million for Brookside Bridge, for example.
Right.
It's not as if we've started building that bridge. There are a number of due diligence items that we need to undertake to see if things are possible. So we begin with engineering, we begin with permitting. Only when we are ready with a permitted project and we're kind of ready to go out to bid, that's when we say, okay, are we really ready to encumber that $3 million and build this bridge? So there are many preliminary steps before, for example, a construction project is fully encumbered and we're fully committed to it. It's a
Right.
multi-step process, multi-year project. So there are opportunities along the way with many projects to delay them, hold them, put it aside, wait for a grant, for example. This happened with North Plain Road, for example.
Right.
Route
Yes.
41 was in our street schedule for years at $5, $6, $8 million. We were able to get the state to come in and do it for cheaper without us, So we do use those times of delay, for lack of a better word, to see other ways of doing things, or can we wait and do it in another year? We do try to prioritize. That's a long answer to a simple question. Sorry.
Noah, it's a complex system. It's in motion, and a lot of these projects take years to complete. And so I guess we're trying to pull the the financial horse back a little bit to try to have some kind of sense that we're not going to be able to do everything we want to do as soon as we want to do it. That is always going to result in a certain amount of pain and problems. But I think the benefit to the public is that we're trying to hold taxes down as much as we possibly can. So I think I'm looking forward to our discussion with the select board at the end of the month. And then if some of that can result in pulling back some of this projected $7.4 million that were projected this year, I think it would go a long way to show that we are attempting to hold our budget down. But I guess that's all I can say. Milena, did you have
I have a
something?
question. Yeah, thank you. So I think this is a super helpful conversation. I really appreciate everyone's input. My question is a little bit on the practical end of it. And, Ali, you explained really well the process and at what point you do whatever. And, we have the budget schedule and all is good. But I kind of wonder at what point, can we actually, or what would be the right way to approach? This is pretty complex because we are really talking about managing a lot of moving parts, and those parts continue to evolve and change throughout this fiscal year. And so I would be very interested, Ali, especially in your insights on how it would be possible to do that practically. At what point can we actually decide, this is the cutoff time, and this is at what point we cannot really have any more POs open or any more projects started or whatever, because it is a kind of a continuum, right? We don't have like a date for each project. Each project has its own life cycle. Do you feel that it is actually possible to manage this process? I mean, especially, it will come, a lot of it will come on you and obviously on the department heads. And I just wonder how it could be done, if at all. I think we all agree on the benefits of it, but when it comes to actually executing, things kind of can get a little bit hairy.
Mhm. I think that maybe some more planning on the department level. I'm sorry, Anne, did you want to?
Well, no,
That's-
I'm just,
Okay,
I had
all
my
right.
hand up for a while.
No, that's okay. No worries. I just didn't know if you wanted to kick in on this. So I think that maybe a little bit more time prioritization on the department level of where they're at with their projects, and to try to do their best to stagger things a little more. I know that we all go to town meeting and we say, yay, we got all these authorizations, but we really need to be cautious not to go out and buy all those things right away in the event that things happen, especially equipment, that kind of thing. Maybe that's something that should wait till later in the year so that you can see where you're at and how much has been expended. So I think really looking at it and planning it out a lot better. I think that in the past it's kind of been, oh, this is our authorization, this is what we can do. And this piece that you all are talking about, I don't think really was addressed.
Right. That's very correct. Yes.
Yeah. So I think that by helping the department heads to understand what we're all here attempting to do, and make them see it a little differently, in that, okay, if I can wait on this just in case this happens, and then if this doesn't happen, then move forward with this, so that they stay within a certain range within that fiscal year. That would be my recommendation.
Okay. So we are really talking about maybe having some kind of a general limits that we, especially for the departments that are the ones who spent most of the money, let's put it this way, just put something there, and then they will need to kind of work within those limits somehow.
Yeah. You can't really, the difficult thing is that we only have one annual town meeting. So the capital borrowing authorizations are only approved once per year unless you
Right.
have a special meeting. So you don't want to limit that down so far, so that in case you have, for example, a pickup truck that is kind of on its
Breaks
last
down, right,
leg,
yeah,
and you
yeah,
know that
yeah,
you're going to need to
yeah.
replace it, maybe hold off as long as you can before buying it in the event that maybe other things move forward, but it should still be in the authorizations in case we have to.
Right, you need it, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it will take some effort to develop really a process that will be workable for everybody. Definitely, I think that should be something we will need to do. Yeah, thank you.
sure.
Rich,
May I?
I've had my hand up for a
Oh,
long
I'm sorry. You go
time. You
right
mind if
ahead.
I
I'm
go?
sorry.
Yeah, okay.
Please.
So, because I did want to dovetail on what Milena said and Ellie were saying. So I do think it's important that we recognize that if we delay approved borrowing this year, which I'm actually supportive of that, that as we go into fiscal year 27 and to town meeting and ask people to approve new borrowing, that gets added on to the borrowing that's already been approved and is now delayed. And this is what really struck me that year where we had, 11 million in borrowing, and I was so shocked because we hadn't approved 11 million, and now I feel like I have much more understanding of how this works. Nobody did anything bad or wrong. It's just things happened on a different timeline. I guess so that's just one thing. We have to be aware that if we push it off, then it's not in the next year's budget, but it is in the next year's expenditures and borrowing, so we're going
Yes, it's authorized unissued. So yes, at
exactly.
any
We're going
point
to
it could be
end
borrowed.
up paying for it later. And how do we account for that when we go in front of the town to talk about new borrowing? The second thing is, so related to that, we've been sitting here talking about that right now. We've already got just under 3 million that is pretty much spoken for. And we did talk about trying to get somewhere between 3 and 5 as some sort of ballpark per year. Would it be possible, or at this point, is it asking too much to say, okay, if we said 4.5 million is where we'd like it to be, what would not happen? Is that something you guys could come back to us with, or are we asking this too late in the year?
We could look at that. Yeah, I wouldn't want to speculate it, but we could look at that.
Okay, again, it'd be good for us, again, we should be, held to the table to make responsible recommendations, right?
Yeah,
So if
I
you,
appreciate
we
that.
say
Yeah.
to you, we want to hold you to this amount, what's not going to happen and how can we own that? It doesn't mean it will never happen, but it might not happen as
Yeah.
quickly as originally planned.
Yeah, no, that's well said. We can look at that.
Yeah. And Chris, I also just want to say, and Rich, I'm so sorry. I know you're wanting to speak,
No,
but,
please, please.
as you said, there will always be moments where maybe we get to this 4.5 and then you say, the state has come in, if we put a small amount in, we'll get a lot of gain. And maybe we have to go above that, but under, that would be a special set of circumstances if something came up. So yeah, I would like to know what would that look like in terms
The only thing I think I'm sorry, Rich, I'm jumping in, but I just want to
No,
comment.
you
really
go ahead.
This is what Anne said. The only problem is, don't forget, November is the date, right? And then we have to keep that in mind because
Right.
whatever we borrow at that time, we cannot come back in December and say, oh, there is something else that's happening. And then, we just missed the window. So we don't necessarily want to do and finance short-term projects or whatever with long-term projects with short-term financing, but just to keep, we do have certain endpoints here, and for this process we have to be very much aware of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Might I just ask, Chris, when we have equipment that's been approved at town meeting, and just thinking of the idea that we don't necessarily have to expend it the moment we have the approval, even though it's something that we think, like if it's an older piece of equipment that's being replaced, are there discussions of, well, we're going to wait a little longer, we're going to hold off, even though we have the approval, we're going to wait, we're going to hold off at the level where you are signing off on the requisition? Is that the correct term to use? Or is that something that is up to the department head to move forward right away?
Those discussions are already occurring, particularly with equipment that was authorized this past May. So yes, those discussions are occurring. They should probably occur more often. I don't know if they have occurred as much in the past. They
Well, it's
certainly
good to hear
are.
that they're occurring. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, there is a piece of equipment that I haven't signed off on yet that, yeah, we're discussing, to put it in cruder terms, wants and needs, much more actively.
And I think that that is a beautiful way to just make it succinct. We have to decide at some point how much of a want and how much of a need it is, even though a lot of things might be a little bit of both. And like I say, I think the process we're suggesting and looking at is going to cause a certain amount of pain and discomfort. Because we're sort of used to borrowing for more in the want category, definitely need, but maybe a little bit more than we can.
There are a lot of needs. Don't get me wrong.
No, I'm not I'm not
There
saying
always will
not.
be, but yeah, we're trying to
Yeah.
be, yeah.
I mean, even some needs I anticipate may not be able to be funded right away if we move forward with something like this. So I appreciate all your work and efforts, everyone. Thank you. Michelle, did you have more another comment or question?
Yeah, you referenced that there's going to be a little pain, but sometimes if there's no pain, there's no gain. And I think as far as the public's perception of what's being done in our town government, it's going to instill more confidence in the process. So I think in the end, being more fiscally responsible, not that we're irresponsible, but taking it to the next level and getting that added confidence by the public is well worth it.
Mhm.
So I really appreciate everyone's, input tonight.
Mhm.
Does anyone have any further? Well, we didn't really look at the July operating budget reports. Does anyone feel that we need to look at that in detail?
I have a few questions on a few items that I kind of noticed on
Okay.
on the budget report. So if I may, legal fees. It seems that we pretty much spent whatever we put there. And I don't know, I know there are a lot of things happening at the same time. Do we see an issue here? Because we are just at the beginning of the year and it was all spent going forward. And I don't know if, Chris, maybe you can comment on it in any way.
Do we see an issue? What's your
Yeah.
question, Milena?
The issue is that we have legal fees, and obviously we have spent most of it, what we budgeted for. We had $100,000 for legal fees.
Probably encumbered it. We haven't spent
Yeah,
it yet.
encumbered, yeah, which means
We've
that
reserved it for various categories,
right.
yes.
So what I'm
Because we
saying is,
anticipate expenditures will be pretty extensive this year. That's correct.
right. And do we think that there may be some other legal expenses that we haven't encumbered for right now?
In broad terms, yes, there are always expenses that we have not thought about.
No, but the legal is kind of like a biggie, and we should know more than these other expenses.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen.
You don't know. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
It's impossible.
That's an answer also. Yeah.
I appreciate the question, but
no, because it just really worries me, that particular expense line. And then my other question is, I just want to make sure I understand what's going on with the audit and accounting services.
Mhm.
Because we are actually showing, I guess, a credit here
Yeah,
for
this
3,000. Yeah.
this is another instance where, because there's 2 fiscal years open, the 33,000 in the year-to-date expended column, the 1, 2, 3, third column over, we paid 33,000 for the FY24 audit. So that FY24 audit was held over on an FY25 purchase order. So therefore, by it paying in 26, it's showing as a negative in the purchase order column until I close the fiscal year. When I
Okay, so
close
it's
the
a
fiscal
timing
year,
issue.
it brings it forward.
Okay, fine. I was not sure whether you had something else going on there.
But
And
even though it looks odd, if you look at the last column, which is the available budget, you'll see that
Right, I know.
available is the
Yes.
35.
So
Yeah.
that made me even more
But it
confused.
does calculate
Yeah.
out, right?
Right. And these were my only 2 questions. So I think everything else looks pretty good. Yeah. Mhm.
Anyone else? I don't see any further hands. So shall we continue to our next item on the agenda? We have Sharon Shalou here, who is coming from the libraries to make a presentation.
I'm going to promote her.
Please do.
Yep. Okay.
You're still muted, Sharon.
Thanks. And I wonder if you could also promote our library director, Dawn Jardine.
Yep. And Sharon, if you want me to share the some of the slides that you sent, I'm happy to do that too.
Great. I was going to do it, but if you do it, I'm very happy.
Yeah, well, you can try and do it, and if you need, if you can't, then I'll do it. You'll get an error message if it doesn't. Oh, no, it does. Okay.
Excellent.
Well, thanks for having us here. You've been talking about some pretty heady stuff, and we're coming to you at a much lower level of concern for your committee. But I was struck also by Michelle's first comment that residents are coming to her anxious, concerned, and angry. So I'll go with the anxious and concerned, but I assure you we're not angry. We come in peace. So I'm showing you right now the annual report that Dawn Jardine submitted to the select board. It's being distributed. It's really a kind of snapshot of activity.
Sharon,
And
all we see is the
Nothing.
title. We don't see anything.
you don't?
You
No.
haven't shared
I
it.
don't think you've double clicked it yet. You've not opened it yet.
Well, it
Oh.
says I'm screen sharing and I have opened it.
Huh.
So
Why
perhaps
don't-
I do have to have you do it.
Okay,
and-
why
Yeah, I
don't-
don't think
yeah.
you can, Sharon, I don't think you can do that. I think you don't have that capability. You don't have the.
I know
So-
we have that sheet.
No, I have it. So here we go. This is the one?
No,
further-
it was
further
the
down.
report from Dawn. Well,
It's almost
not
there.
in that particular
Next
packet.
one,
It was a
next one.
separate.
Next, that's
There it
one.
is.
That's the
There
one.
it is. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, Dawn.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Dawn.
This will be much easier to understand than Ally's information. I just basically want to give you a very brief overview. What you're looking at are stats from last year. It's really too early to give you any statistics from FY26. I could come back in a few months and do that if you like, or we can wait until next year. But I'll just tell you very briefly a couple things that we're working on this year. I'll highlight 2 literacy projects that we're working on. The first is a family literacy project, and with the help of the friends, we are putting together a collection of tote bags, and each tote bag will have 4 to 6 books in it on a theme. So the idea is that families can come in, they can grab a bag of books on dinosaurs, and then they can skedaddle and hopefully read together all week. And then they can come in and get a book on a different topic, cars and trucks maybe. So that's one thing that we're working on that I hope to have implemented by the end of the year. Another thing is information literacy. And staff are all trained on information literacy, but what we would like to do is bring some learning opportunities to the public with a couple programs that will help them to better discern trustworthy information online. And we're looking at implementing that in early spring next year. And that's really it. I wanted to keep it really brief and then let Sharon talk to you about financial statistics. But anytime you have any questions about anything, whether it's in this report that we're looking at or anything else that's going on in the library, please feel free to give me a call or send me an email. You know where to find me.
Thanks, John. So we can probably just save any questions you may have to the end. I wonder, Anne, if you could now go into the pie chart folder.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Here we
Great.
go.
Okay, so our presentation to you doesn't come with a specific ask, but it comes in response to last year's budget process. This was a first time through for both Dawn and me, and we were a little surprised by how it went. The library budget came in with a request for a 1.38% increase in the budget. And we walked out with a nearly 0.9% cut. But we also have contracts with staff, so we have to meet, that meant we had to meet a 2.5% salary increase. So we are feeling some pain. And the reason that, I mean, that may not sound like a lot. I actually think we were one of only 2 departments that sustained a real cut rather than a reduction in increase, but don't quote me. When you look at our municipal pie, and this one is from fiscal 24, once those munis numbers are closed and submitted, DOR will put the fiscal 25 numbers in, and we'll have them for you as an update. So this is a little belated, but it is this was where we were when we came to you for a 1.38% increase request. This is the Great Barrington Municipal Pie. Now, it is not the buckets that y'all put our expenses in, but DOR makes consistent buckets. So while this won't illuminate our particular budget, it's great for comparison with other communities. And that was something I was asked about during the budget process last year. How do we stack up? So in fiscal 24, you'll see that libraries accounted for 1.4% of municipal expenditures in Great Barrington. Again, the general government, the public safety, the other, these are all things that are going to be consistent across the other charts I show you. So I was asked, how do we stack up? So if you go to the next slide, you'll see at the town of Stockbridge, their library services account for 1.84% of their municipal pie in fiscal 24. Next slide is West Stockbridge. And they are lower, but they don't have a proper working library, essentially. I mean, they're a pretty small little L off of public, I don't know, is it fire department or public safety? I'm not really sure where that is. It's 0.83%. If you go down to the next slide, this was the town I was asked a lot about how we stacked up with Sheffield. and their library services are at 1.91% of the pie. And I put in Lenox and Lee as well because those were, well, people asked me about Lenox, and then I thought you can't talk about Lenox much without talking about Lee. So in Lenox, we're at 1.76%, and in Lee, 1.46%. So we were the lowest in fiscal 24 of all of our surrounding neighbors. And I don't want to belabor it. I just want to say that was where we were. Now, if you go to the next page, this is where you see how this comparison works about activity. Now, remember, we're at 1.4 as opposed to all of these others. We have more card holders than our surrounding community. We have more holdings. We had more circulation. We had a lot more in total circulation. Our circ per capita was the highest, and our current weekly hours were the highest, but we were at the lowest part of the municipal pie. So to say that we're working on a shoestring and that these cuts aren't making aren't felt is something that, you know, I hope you agree that that's not the case. Would you go to the next page? This is the one. Can you, thank you. I did not want to delete any columns or change any of the information that I provided, but I also then scaled it so that it would fit on one page. So forgive me for that. But if you look here, this is the trend in library expenditures as a total of the general fund for Great Barrington. And we went in 2003 from 2.3%, 2.34% of the municipal pie, well down to 1.4, and you can see the trends downward. This is really not sustainable, and yet, and we have, as I think you can see, demonstrated usage and need. So we wanted to bring this issue to your attention. And Madonna, I remember you asking a question about town employees' salaries during the budget process last year. So I also brought, there's an Excel sheet also attached that was like a quick look at our salaries. So it has salary in the title.
I am not.
No, I don't think we didn't, I didn't have that.
Oh,
This is
really?
everything that I had
Oh,
received
okay.
from you.
I'm sorry. It seems like the attachment didn't come through. Well, let me just say that from the same site that we downloaded all of this information, we were also able to download salary. And it is very clear that we are paying well below our neighboring communities in a number of critical areas. It's an overview that we're offering you now, and our plan is to do a proper salary review so that we can bring you the details on that. But we are lagging in many places, and it's been a trend through the past 2 decades. And we know that we can't fix this all in a minute. We're in a tough place, but we do need to do to make some change. And what we're hoping is that we can engage with FinCom and with the select board in a plan to get us back to a funding level. It's not a lot to ask, I think, for 2 to 2.5% of the municipal pie for a system that is the primary educational and cultural, non-means tested, I have to say. You don't have to pay to come here. But we serve the preschool population. We serve the after-school population. We serve the summer school population. And we serve all of the adult population. And one of the things, and Madonna, I see your hand, and just let me just say one thing, is that during the budget conversations, I kept thinking, what's the disconnect here? And I realized that many people were talking about the library as a transactional site. People come in, they get what they need, and they leave. But that's really not the way Great Barrington is using its libraries. I mean, our circ is great, and so there is a lot of coming in and borrowing and taking home. Don't get me wrong on that, but people are in the libraries all day long. There are
Sorry,
independent
1 second,
contractors
Sharon,
holding,
Sharon,
excuse
I'm
me.
sorry. I just had to interrupt because there's the most beautiful sunset. I thought something was on fire in my yard, but there's a beautiful sunset. So please, I'm listening, but I got distracted. So I
Okay.
apologize.
Okay, where was it? Okay. Um, people, our meeting rooms are full with tutors and their students, with independent contractors who are working from home or working from wherever and want to meet clients, and they hold meetings in the meeting rooms. They are filled with small group discussions. Our libraries are full with book groups, knitting groups, writers groups, music appreciation groups. People, and I think probably most importantly, I mean, they come in to use the technology, of course, or to get their Wi-Fi. Um, but I think that overall, when I'm in the library, I see people being also using the library as a place to be alone together. And I don't want to be presumptuous, but I put a whole reading list of walkability in local communities. But the main book in there that I read in 2000, it's been updated for 2020, is Robert Putnam's Bowling Alone, where he's talking about the loss of community and how that is creating divisiveness and fractiousness in communities. And our libraries are a great public space. This is a place where people can come, and it doesn't matter how much they earn. They all have equal access to the services provided. You don't even have to buy a cup of coffee to use our Wi-Fi. You don't have to show your WIC card to get the museum pass for free. This is a great institution, and it claims such a small part of the annual budget that I really think we need to work hard to get it back to a level of funding that's not grand, but creates sustainability. And I really hope you'll work with us on this in the coming couple of years. As I said, I don't expect it all to get fixed tomorrow or even in May or whenever we finally decide on this. But I would like to work with you on it because we really need to right size the budget again. Thanks. I'm going to stop there. I could go on because I love the soapbox,
Well,
but I'm not going to do that to
we
you.
appreciate your presentation to us, and you've made a lot of very interesting points. We do have two hands up. Madonna, your hand has been up for a bit, but Michelle's has as well. Who would like to go first?
Well, if you don't mind, Michelle, I'm unmuted, so
You
I
go for it.
apologize. The sunset's gone, by the way.
You have seniority on the board, on the committee.
I'm lowering my hand. First of all, I want to say to Sharon and Dawn that you really gave a really good presentation, not only tonight, but at the budget meetings last time. And I just want to let you know of the couple things that that maybe the bullet points need to be out there, because I just didn't really understand the fees that you have to pay for audiobooks. And well, I figured for newspapers and periodicals, but the licensing that goes on. What really struck me, and I was like, really? Somehow downloading an audio book or something to my tablet, I don't even think about that you need licensing for it. It just, and I think that's a big selling point to the public. And the other thing that you drove home, both of you drove home, is that without a particular amount of funding, you lose your CW Mars credentials. And if you are able to somehow at public meetings or whatever, to drill that home, that you need the funding, not just because you want to pay more salaries or because you want Ramsdale open or, you know, whatever, you know, you want more parking. I don't know. But what really struck me was the requirements for that, you know, the loss of borrowing from other communities. That I just don't think the public would say, well, it's too bad, we'll go to Lennox. You've got the most circulation. You're showing that in your data. And I commend you. And when I've popped in there, there's always a beehive of activity. LitNet is always there teaching,
Right.
you know, to English in private ways. And you're outside little markets that you have there selling your books. I mean, every time you go by, you just see a bunch of people. It's become quite a draw. So I praise you for that. And as I said, it's just my 2 cents, but the selling points about, you know, the loss of our being able to be accredited, if that's the correct word, but you know, if we lose a certain amount of funding, yeah, you deserve some more money. So maybe we can help. I certainly support that. Thank
Yeah,
you.
and if you look at Dawn's report, Madonna, you'll see that we brought in through interlibrary loan more than we gave out. So our residents are really benefiting. Thank
Right.
you.
You're welcome.
And Michelle?
Hi, Sharon. Um, just a couple, I
Hi,
just wanted to
Michelle.
clarify one thing that what I said at the beginning of the meeting is in the past. I've heard concerned citizens and angry citizens. Now I'm hearing frightened citizens, panicked citizens. They're scared about whether they're going to be able to afford to stay here. So when we look at the library, I on the finance committee am going to look at how it fits in with all the other budget requests. And it's going to be tough. It's going to be rough. I just wanted to point out when I served on the finance committee previously, I on several occasions called for town government to do a salary administration plan. And I don't know if that was ever done. Rather than having pockets of reports, whereas, oh, the library does one, DPW does one, that there's we would call in business a business-wide salary administration review. And oftentimes you call a consultant in to do it. If I'm understand correctly, some of the positions at the library are union positions. And wouldn't those be subject to union negotiations?
Dawn can speak to that.
Everybody except me is in the union.
So it wouldn't be, so there would be union negotiations about a back and forth. And I hope it is a rich discussion on salaries. But along with salaries come the benefits. And so, like I said, you know, we have a lot going on in Great Barrington, and we're going to be talking about a new school. So it's going to be a difficult time. So there's going to be some yeses and some nos throughout, on my part, the budget season. But know this, I am supportive of the libraries. I've volunteered a lot in the past at our libraries. We've always, and you may recall this, we always saw them as a community center type of environment, whether it was Mason Library or Ramsdale. So we're taking, I know for me, I'm taking all that into consideration. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. Could I just say one thing? I know, Rich, you have your hand up, but you know, we just lost a really fine library worker because we weren't able to offer full-time with benefits. We have so many people working part-time and unbenefited in our library. So I think it would be, well, first of all, we'd love if you did a townwide salary review because it is an undertaking for an individual group, but and I think that would be great. But I'm also concerned about the number of part-time lines we have as opposed to full-time lines because of the Exploitation of workers, I think. Yeah.
I just want to stress that I work for another public entity, and it's a business practice now. We have part-timers, we use subs, etc. It's a business necessity now, and whether we're public sector or not, we're business as well. But we always have to be mindful. I am going full throttle on this. The taxpayers I've talked to, and I too, I've been unemployed. I've worked full time. I would love to retire. I can't right now. So we have to look at this a wider picture. And I think that's where the finance committee is going, that direction, taking a broader view of our budget process.
And thank you. And we hope that that's what that pie chart shows you as well, when you're taking the broader view, how much we're actually talking about. Thanks.
So thank you very much for coming in and making such a fine presentation. In particular, I'm glad to hear about so much activity in the library from other groups, from individuals. It's just interesting the number of groups that can use it as a center. So thank you very much.
I think Anne is.
Before we close out, can I just, so I agree. I thank you for this presentation. I would love to see that salary report because it's comparative as well. Is that something we could, you could send around, or we could get access to, or if you want to just, I don't know if you can just send it to me.
I can actually forward the Excel sheet. It's an overview,
Okay.
and what we haven't lined up are how positions track. Are all of these apples to apples? So which ones are union positions, which
Okay.
ones aren't,
Did
which
you
ones are
want,
full-time?
did you
So
need to,
I'll do my best, but it's.
did you
Okay.
need to take a little time to review that and make any
Well, I
changes
think what I
to it?
need to take time to do is explain where we think the comparisons work and where we have no idea if, I mean, a lot of the reports were hourly wage report, but they didn't include whether it was a benefited position. So that's the part of it that might be tricky. But I'm happy to send you what's there.
Okay.
If you
But
want to send me whatever you want to
I'll send you the spreadsheet.
and I
I'll
will
send.
forward it to all of
Sure.
the members.
And then maybe we can include it in our next meeting packet, just so it's publicly available.
Sure. Sure.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Thank you
Thanks.
very much. So let's move on to the preliminary discussion regarding the new high school. I will say I put this on the agenda to start to have discussion publicly. I mean, all of us on the committee can't really speak among ourselves as much as we might want to. It's important for us, if we're going to have ideas about the high school, to remain open and present those publicly. So I don't have any particular things to say, except that coming up in November, I believe it's important for every single taxpayer, every single person in Great Barrington to intelligently review what is meant by having a new high school, what we gain, what will be the difficulties presented. And everyone's going to have to make their own decision on that. But I wanted to just open it to the floor for any questions from people. Can I start with you, Anne? Your hand is up.
Yeah, thank you. Rich, I appreciate you putting it on the agenda, and I do recall that at, I think, in meeting earlier in the summer, we were the school committee, or the committee that's been working on the new school, came to us and said that in August the state would finalize or approve or ratify what is the actual cost and what they're going to contribute, and that they could come back to us with more details about what would be the financial impact to Great Barrington. And I guess, you know, I did a school tour earlier, and so I feel like I'm informed in that regard, but I feel like the finance committee needs more detail of the finances. I mean, that's what we need. And I guess I would really love for them to come back. And I thought there were reports. I thought I did read that they did agree to what the final budget is and what the state will fund. So I think this would be a great moment for them to come back and meet with us. And ideally, well before November. So that's just mine. I don't have anything else yet because I don't really have the numbers.
Michelle?
Thank you, Chair. First off, I graduated from Monument Mountain. And I have watched on some of the forums on through CTSB TV. One of my concerns is still like my brain goes to the roof. I remember my father's was a mason, and he worked on the original Monument Mountain. And I remember him coming home and saying, "The fools are putting a flat roof on that school." And just for the record, I attended Monument Mountain 1972 to 1976, and the roof leaked back then. And that wasn't much later than brought this up to Steve Bann. I said, Steve and I went to school together. There were rain barrels in the hallways, and that's when the school was pretty new. Also, the forum referenced a tax impact calculator. People are saying they're going to vote yes for the school, but they don't know yet what the actual tax impact is going to be on them individually. So I reached out to Dr. Dillon because at the forum said that calculator would be ready in August. I've been waiting for it because it's like going into auto dealership saying you're going to buy a car and you don't even know what the price of the car is. And Dr. Dillon said it should be. I reached out to him on Monday. He emailed me it should be ready in a few days. So I'm putting a pin in it until I do my own tax calculation. And a phrase that bothered me that was said during the forum was "build it and they will come." No, no, I'm sorry. Let's right size the project. And also regarding Proposition 2.5, that's going to be discussed on Thursday by our select board. Many people do not know what that means. And again, I think it's up to like the finance committee and the select board to explain to taxpayers, if you vote for a Proposition 2.5 override, exactly what you're saying. You're saying you're willing to pay more in taxes. You're raising the tax levy. So I really have some concerns with Anne. The figures right now are not, I would say, firm. And until I see that tax impact calculator and me and my neighbors can actually calculate what the tax hit's going to be, I'm not happy with the project. Thank you.
I will say that I concur that is a very, very important aspect of this
Thank you.
entire thing, that every person has to be able to have an idea of how it's going to affect them. Because right now it's kind of generic how it's going to affect them, and I think they need to know. So it's been said that it would be out, and I think that's a very, very important thing.
I
for us to
agree
do.
with you, Richard. Some of this will be an individual decision.
It's
And
definitely an
so,
individual
yeah,
decision for every one of us.
exactly.
I mean, all of us
Exactly.
see the benefits of the proposal.
Yeah.
We just have to understand fully how the costs will affect each of us
And
and what that will mean.
is it all or nothing?
Mhm.
That this is again in social media and everything. I just want to make it clear, because someone such as myself has an issue with a project does not mean they're against education. I worked in education. I've worked in education for years. And our community is not alone in this discussion. There are other communities that go through the same discussions.
Right.
So I agree 100% with you, Richard, on that.
So, Milena, your hand is up.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think Michelle raised a few points that I want to kind of amplify a little bit. So Rich and I, we did actually the walkthrough yesterday, and I have to say, it was extremely helpful to see the school, to see the state of the school, totally outdated, lots of issues there. And so from that point of view, I'm very much, in favor of coming up with a new school, a new space for students that will be conducive to learning. But I do have a big issues here, and my issues are a little bit maybe different. But one of them is the size, the proposed size. And I think the cost was pretty much, somehow determined. I think that number seems to be final. But the size, I just want to make sure that people understand that at this moment, we enroll 274 students who come from our district in that high school, okay? The total number is right now is 443. So we have about 120 choice in students and 49 tuition in students who come. And trust me, I have been involved in this conversation about this notion that they cost us nothing and they actually earn money and similar kind of arguments. I think people who make those arguments don't either fully understand what they are saying or they are really intentionally misleading people. But what I was going to say is the school is right now proposed to house 485 students. I understand this is something that is pretty much given to us. This is not our choice. This is given to us, while we have a population of 274 students. So I have a really big issue there, because what I've looked at are the numbers over the years, and what I see is a decline in the number of students who come from our 3 towns that are the district towns, an increase. Actually, the decline is about 22% since 2016, but that increase in the out-of-district students in the choice students is 15% is increase. So what we are really doing is we are replacing, over the last few years, we have replaced in-district students with out-district students. Now, I have no problems with having students come in from other towns if they feel this is a better fit for them. But I do have an issue with Great Barrington taxpayers footing that bill. I just think it's unfair. I have a real issue. And again, just as Michelle, I have spent half of my career in education and higher ed. And I'm a big believer in public schools. My kid went through public schools. I went through public schools. I just don't think this is fair. I really cannot, and I don't know. And it's a very difficult decision for me because, as I said, I really feel very strongly that the school, we cannot be fixing the school. We have to build a new school, but the new school has to be of the right size. And this is not the right size. We are basically going to be building a school that twice the capacity what we need for our district. And that's not a really rational decision as far as I'm concerned. So that's my take on it. I'm very torn by this. And the other thing is, I really would like to see, I did run the numbers myself because I knew that it was a 30-year bond, and I figured out what it is, and we know how much Great Barrington is going to be contributing. But I would like an official number to be presented by the school committee in time for the taxpayers to take a look and think about it, what it means for them for the next 30 years. Because it's not going to be really the big number that we are dealing with. Is going to be the next 30 years where the school budget will continue to grow at levels that we may not be able to sustain. The other thing, and that's my last comment, is when we did the walkthrough, I think there are really some very good ideas that were implemented as part of the new design. I really enjoyed that conversation. We had lots of really good thought went into that. There is one thing, though, that really worries me also, and that's going forward, is that the school will be totally electric driven. Okay. Now, if any of you are paying any attention to what's going on in this world, you should know that Massachusetts is among the highest costs when it comes to electricity in the country. We are number 48. Okay. This is just absolutely, I mean, I was just so shocked when I found out. And given what's happening right now, the consumption of electricity across the country because of the data centers that are being built at an enormous rate to support the AI applications, the cost will only increase. I mean, if you look at the forecast, the projection, it's just going to get like very difficult for a lot of people, and it's going to get very difficult for a lot of businesses or other entities that are going to be relying on that, because at the same time we have an administration that is just basically getting rid of any proper renewable policy. So these are, for me, I'm looking at it not just, is it not just a decision for today, it's a decision for the next 30 years, because for the next 30 years we will be asked to finance and fund whatever we decide today.
Mhm.
I did,
Any other
I-
any other hands up?
Rich, Ed Abrams in the audience has his hand up.
Please, let's hear from
Okay.
Ed.
Okay.
Hello, Ed. You're muted currently.
Yes. Hello.
Hello.
I just a quick thing. I've been listening to two meetings at once. The school committee is having a meeting tonight where they're answering a lot of the questions you're asking. One of which is, I believe they said the cost calculator has been released or is being released today or tomorrow.
Great.
But important to know when you're entering a number in the cost calculator, their main point is if they don't build a new school, if the vote is no, the renovation cost for the current school to legally bring it up to code, which will be required, is the same dollar amount for the three towns. So when you put in your number to find out what it'll cost you on your taxes, that's the same number whether the town votes yes or no. As soon as you replace the HVAC, you've triggered the requirement to bring the entire building up to code according to state law. And they've estimated that because the Massachusetts School Building Authority required them to, and it's the same cost. It's less money, but the state won't give any money. So either way, it's about $90 million from the three towns. So just keep that in mind when you do look that number up, and when you're considering, can we afford this? It's the same number, whether or not we renovate the building. That's all.
Rich, Michelle has her hand back up again.
Please, Michelle.
In response to Mr. Abrams, I'm just going to say this. This is like the third time I've been down this road with the school. First off, the school as constructed back in the 60s was poorly constructed. So that's just exacerbating everything. But it's now, can we afford it? It's for the individual taxpayer is, can I afford it? For example, Housatonic, we now have high water rates. We're dealing with high water rates. There are other costs involved. We have an aging population, and you love to think everything's covered by medical insurance. It isn't. So our individual budgets, can we do it? Or for the greater good, am I going to have to leave Great Barrington, sell my house and move on? I was talking to someone yesterday. She's meeting with her children the end of September for a plan B. If the school project goes through, she doesn't think she can keep her house. What does she do? These are I've heard this conversation before, but is it an all or nothing? I've renovated houses, and yeah, Ed's absolutely right. Sometimes if you touch one thing, it triggers, you have to meet code and everything like that. I went to that school. Yes, it definitely needs new windows. It needs a HV system, etc. But there are some other things I'm seeing, and I'm going to, like Melina said, is the project right sized? So in the end, there's going to be an individual person who's going to sit there and go, I can't afford to stay here any longer. And that's heart-wrenching to me. I'm living in my family's homestead, and I personally don't want to lose it. But like I said, I'm wishing for confidence in the process that we're going through. And I appreciate you listening to me because I'm getting a lot of comments from people. So we'll see what happens. Thank you.
May I just say something for a moment? I think that I will be reaching out to the building committee basically on these 2 points that I'm hearing on the tax impact calculator for sure. And then also on the point that Ed just brought up, I want to better understand what kind of decision we actually are making in November if that statement is accurate. So thank you very much. Madonna, you have your hand up.
I did. I just wanted to say that my husband and I took a tour today. Except for town meetings, I rarely have gone into Monument Mountain High School unless I mean, since my 3 children graduated from there, and they had a wonderful education, they had wonderful teachers, and went on to higher education, did quite well. But boy, I mean, aside from kudos to the maintenance department that have really kept those floors shiny and the place is spick and span, it's outdated. It's a tear down. And it's just, it absolutely doesn't meet the needs. I mean, there's no sprinkler system, there's no fire extinguishers, or maybe there's one somewhere or whatever. I didn't see any. It's just, it's time to get another school. So, yeah, the cost is, it's gonna be rough no matter what. I mean, it's gonna be, and the taxpayers, well, let's see. There are young families, there were quite a few young families that were there tonight to look at the schools. So, I don't know how it's gonna come out, but we really, it's past its prime. We need another school.
Milena, you had your hand up
Yeah,
again.
yeah, thank you. I just wanted to add one point, which I think is really important. And I would like also, at least all of us here, and we definitely will make our decisions, to think holistically about this issue, because there is, there is not an endless stream of money. There is just a certain amount of money. And so if we do one thing, we may not be able to do another thing, etc. And so we definitely have a very aging, infrastructure, and I wish we had something really, really much better than that. But we also have an aging infrastructure in other parts of this town, right? So we have lots of things that may go wrong. We also have an issue, for example, our fire department. They used to have, 20 volunteers? They have 4. They may need to hire more people. We had a drought last year. We have a drought this year. We will have an issue with our ambulance services because, they are doing their best, but their cost continues to rise and rise quite rapidly. So all what I'm saying is we have to think about it in the context of everything else, because this is a community of whatever, 7,000 people. We have people here, maybe people who had children in school, maybe people who don't have children, maybe people who are retired. We have to think about it, how we're going to satisfy all those different parts of our community. And I think we cannot just say, this is one thing that has to happen, and then say, oh, but you know what, we cannot do anything else because that's where all the money goes. So I just want people to think about it holistically and think about it for at least our purpose as the finance committee for this town, for the benefit of the whole town, not just some people, but for everybody.
Thank you, Milena. Michelle, your hand is up again.
I'm sorry to comment again, but I just want to remind everyone, we have, on top of everything else, we have a community that doesn't even have clean drinking water. So we're, like I said, it's great building this new school, but some of the children that will be attending the school don't even have clean water to drink. And that's shameful. That's shameful.
Thank you,
And
Michelle. I know that that is a big issue in the town, and thank you.
it's going to cost money. That's the thing.
We understand.
Yeah.
Anne?
Yeah, I guess I just want to say, I mean, this is partly why I'm really glad that we're having a broader conversation to go back to the points raised earlier about borrowing. And, you know, we need to get a handle on our borrowing. And this is partly why I'd like us to think about capping or putting some limits on borrowing, and then looking to see, well, if we go forward with this school, and I know that's a big if, what are going to be the long-term borrowing implications? You know, what will we not be able to do if we do this? And again, I agree to take that larger approach.
Do we have any other comments on this issue?
There is an audience member with their hand up, James. Rich, are you okay if I promote him up?
Please do.
Okay.
Hello,
morning.
James.
Good evening, Finance Committee. This is James Garzone, 84 North Plain Road. I just want to take a different angle than what you've all said. We're talking about kiosks at the transfer station, trying to save money, a dime here, a dime there. And unfortunately, the Finance Committee only has control basically of maybe 20 to 25% of the town budget.
So
We all
true.
know the school takes 70%. Then we have 3% CPA, and then we have the water district. And then I bring this up because, as everyone is mentioning, we are struggling. And I think the school is going to pass because the Yes Committee has done a great job at pushing it and saying either 90 million for a new school or 90 million for renovated. So it seems like what I've gathered, it probably will pass. So let's say it passes. And to Milena or Ann's point, we don't have an endless amount of money. So now we're going to have a $90 million bond for 30 years. Our tax is going to go up. Michelle, and we all know Housatonic Waterworks is coming. We don't know how much yet, but it's coming. We know the infrastructure issues, that's coming. We know benefits and salaries need to go up. The Ramsdale, library and the libraries need people to hire with benefits full time. We know teacher salaries are increasing. That's a big operating budget that keeps on going higher for the school. We know the fire department needs people. We know the hospital needs people. They can't hire anybody because we don't have affordable housing, which will be less affordable because our taxes are going to increase. Now, we need a new school. The building is, I'm going to laugh, Michelle. I blame your father for a terrible school. I'm laughing, of course. But I don't know what the answer is. I just know 90 million for a new school, 90 million for a renovated school is going to bankrupt many people in this community who are on fixed incomes. We know the government is cutting all the social services, either directly in Social Security or health benefits, the Affordable Care Act. The federal government is cutting. We're increasing expenses. It's making the town unaffordable. Will younger families come when older people leave? My opinion, I doubt it, because they're not going to be able to afford the $1 million homes with the $12,000, $14,000, $15,000 taxes. Now, this is my opinion, of course, but what I would like the Finance Committee, and this is where I'm going to come, is when you get the numbers from the school, can the Finance Committee not make an opinion, just make an informed information saying, okay, this is how it will impact Great Barrington. So at least the voters can know, okay, the Finance Committee has looked at it. This is going to be the impact to our community. And because I want I want an opinion, not from the tax calculator that was provided by the school, but an independent assessment by the 3 town finance committees. How it's going to impact Great Barrington, Stockbridge, and West Stockbridge. Independently to say this is the impact. So that's my ask of the Finance Committee. Thank you.
We'll do our best. We will. Any other comments or hands raised? Thank you all for a very robust discussion.
I
Oh,
got some,
Rich,
I got
Madonna
some.
has her hand
Oh,
up.
Madonna has her hand up. Okay,
Yes,
Madonna.
I do. I just want to, I want to double back about what Michelle said. Somewhere in Monument Mountain High School, I don't believe has Housatonic water. I think they have their own well. Yes, I believe that state.
I didn't say they did. I didn't
Yeah,
say
they
they
do.
No,
did.
that's not
I'm
what she
quite
said.
sure they do because I asked Steve Bannon that we
No.
had a discussion about that. So I think that needs to be fact checked, just for accuracy.
Madonna, I didn't say the school had Housatonic water.
The Monument Mountain.
Yeah, it
Regional
didn't.
High-
I did
Well,
not
well,
say
that's
that.
what I thought I heard, and I just
No,
wanted.
I said you have to remember we have to deal with the Housatonic
Oh,
water
oh,
situation because we don't.
then
There'll
I,
be students attending a multi-million-dollar school who don't even
right,
have.
I was blending and trying to clarify, because I
That's
thought
okay.
I was hearing that well, it was being stated that the high school, because, the high school's drinking water, and I just,
No.
okay, so we're clear on that then, right?
We
Yes,
are
we
clear
are.
on that.
Okay,
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I
Thank you.
think I
very
know
much,
what made
Madonna.
it confusing. Yep. James still has his hand up and Phil Orenstein has his hand up. James, do you still want to have your hand up? No. Okay. Phil.
Phil, would you
Orenstein,
like to
yeah.
speak?
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes, we can.
Yes, my only comment is I wanted to thank everyone for their viewpoints tonight. I've been listening and I appreciate all the thoughtful comments. And your points are well taken. That's it.
Thank you very much, Phil. Do we have any other comments, or shall we move to our next agenda item, which is setting our October and November Finance Committee meeting dates? So everyone on the committee, our normal meeting time is the third Tuesday of each month. So for October, that would mean the 21st of October. Does that date pose a problem for any members?
I would not be able to attend.
Are there any day your inability to attend, or is it a large chunk of time,
Yeah,
Elena?
I'm leaving on October 12th, and I'll be in Asia, and I'm gonna return on October 26th. I'm afraid that just kind of, it's half of the month, so yeah.
Well, I understand there are some months that all of us have a lot of problems. This may be a month that we have a quorum without you. How do you feel
Sure.
about that, Melena?
No, of course, yeah, no, I don't want to hold anything up. I mean, this is, there might be difficult, so yeah, please go ahead.
Rich, can I
So,
start? This is Anne. Can I?
yes, hi, Anne.
So I guess my anxiety or thoughts are, I mean, again, I would like to get the information. I'd like a chance to talk to the finance subcommittee of the new school if possible as a committee. I know we can get the information from them and do our own calculations on the side, but I think it would be helpful. So I'm just wondering,
So may I speak to that?
yeah, please. Yeah.
So I reached out to Peter Dillon and Rich Mahoney, suggesting that Melena and I can meet with them um, as an initial meeting, so that we could have them come in front of the finance committee and talk to us about some of our questions about the school budget. And I was given a hard no. So I'm trying to fully understand exactly what part of my request is something that they had some difficulty with, because I feel it's important for us to be able to communicate and collaborate and hear each other out. What I have since, I sent all of you the dates for the district finance subcommittee meetings that are currently scheduled. And I was encouraging everyone to go. There is some question, if all of us attend each of these meetings, that there will be a problem with the open meeting law. I have reached out to that group in Boston that answers those questions. It may be a matter of us just putting out an agenda that we're going to be going to this meeting. All of us will be there, but we won't be discussing the topics together at the meeting, and we'll be discussing it at our next meeting. That's a possibility. I will say that Rich did say that he was open. He was open for telephone calls and to answer questions directly, but I don't know whether it's coming in front of the finance committee that was the thing that they didn't want to do. It could also be that they are not opposed to having a meeting with Milena and I individually. I'm not sure exactly where we are. This has only happened within the last week, so I'm trying better to understand how we can coordinate. Okay?
Okay, so maybe what we should do is to set the 16th and the 21st and just get that on the calendar, and then you'll let us know.
I will
if-
definitely let you know
I mean,
what
how do
more I
people
can
feel? I know it
do.
leaves things up in the air, but
But I think it's good to have a date on the
yeah, no,
calendar.
I
And
agree.
then Milena and I can do some work in
Yeah.
the background
Yeah.
and see what connections we can do and make. I believe that it may just be something about the way I worded my request that might be what they are having questions about. I'm not sure. But I think it's also important for us to know that when their finance committee is meeting, and we also keep those things in mind. So let's see, Milena, your
Yeah,
hand is up.
I just want to just say, I think your email was very, very professional and very polite, and I think very reasonable. So I don't think there was anything in your email that, should be an issue for anybody, frankly. I also had some additional conversation via email, I should say, with Steve Bannon about the whole notion that the school district decided, I should say, the finance subcommittee voted with the school committee that they will not be presenting to select boards and finance committees in the upcoming budget season as they have done in the past. And they suggested that instead of that, whoever is interested in the budget process that they go through, attend that particular meeting. And when I was a bit taken back by that, because I really felt that that meeting we had with Peter Dillon and Sharon, forgot Sharon's last name, was extremely helpful, and it just let us have a conversation and ask a lot of questions and become more informed about the whole process that the school district goes through and how the budget kind of, takes shape. So it was a bit disappointing for me to hear that. Somehow there was a reason for that they felt it was important to them not to hold these meetings. But I also kind of am concerned, same as Richard, that, it's really important for us to collaborate with the district leadership and the school committee, because it is such an important and very large part of the taxpayers share. And I would hope that we find a way where we can actually engage, and we don't have to agree all the time, but we can at least engage in a productive, conversation. And I kind of feel that there's just not an interest in that at this moment. I don't really understand why. But again, Rich, your email was absolutely fine. I must say, yeah.
But I'll be reaching out to both of them by telephone and just to try to understand what we can do and how much we can connect with them and just let them know how important we feel it is.
Right. Yeah.
And Michelle, you have your hand up.
I agree with Melina because in the past, I found it extremely helpful, the presentations to the finance committees of each town. I find the change in the process somewhat less open and transparent. So I hope they reconsider that. The problem with phone calls, individual phone calls and everything like that, we all hear things differently. Even during a meeting, like Madonna, no offense, you heard one thing and somebody heard another thing. So I don't like to get my information secondhand if I can avoid it. That's why those meetings with the finance committees are so important. I also wanted to offer, if it's helpful in October, to start the finance committee meeting at 5. If I have enough notice, I couldn't accommodate a 5 p.m. meeting today, but if it's helpful to the rest of the committee to do that.
May I just say, I don't believe that I would not be in favor with starting our meetings
Okay, no,
generally at
that's
5
yeah,
o'clock. And
yeah.
and your point was very well taken, Michelle. I'm sorry, I sort of jumped in on something and a question of can we move it to 5 with no notice really.
No problem, no
But
problem.
you were so kind to let me know then right away that the intent to meet with the select board, I believe it's the 29th
That
at
is
5
correct.
o'clock, you were able to,
Yep.
I mean, when you have advance notice, you can work that out. But
And that's why I wanted to offer it.
well, I very much appreciate that. I mean, it's so nice that people can work things out, but you need a little time in order to do it, right?
Well, we all have bosses somewhere.
We all have, well, some of us we're just married to them. Aside from that, we do have bosses, yes. And so thank you, Michelle. So I think we'll just go ahead with October 21st if we're okay with that.
Rich, can I just, and I apologize, I know the meeting's going along, but you said you sent us information about like when the finance subcommittee meets, but what, I don't know when does the finance subcommittee of the new school committee meet?
So you're not talking about the district finance subcommittee that's dealing with the operating budget of the school, right? You're talking
No,
about
no.
the budget committee that's dealing with the funding of the actual school.
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
that I don't know, but I do have, I mean, the gentleman that Milena and I met with yesterday, and God, names are so bad in my brain.
William Fields.
Bill Fields. He was
Bill.
Oh, Bill
very,
Fields.
very helpful.
Okay.
And I think that I will call him and ask him about that.
Okay,
Okay?
that would be great. Thank you.
Okay. Now, as far as November is concerned, I like to try to see if something is possible. And I know we're getting into but I think the 18th, the third Tuesday, would still be possible on my calendar. What
Works for
do
me.
everybody think on their calendar?
Works for me.
I'll check.
I'm fine.
Okay, so we'll address that again in
I'm
October,
fine
but for
too.
now, I'll let I'm trying to let the staff in the select board office know what meetings we have scheduled 2 months in advance, just to try to be a little ahead of the ball. So thank you very much. And let's see if we have anything else on our agenda. Yes, we have citizen speak time on our agenda. Do we have any citizens who have not spoken who would like to speak again? Seeing none, do we have any media who would like to address the committee? Seeing no hands and hearing no one. I'm just going to ask all the committee members, any other final comments, or can we adjourn?
Just that we've
Motion
had
to
a
adjourn.
2-hour and 2-minute meeting.
Oh my God. Well, thank you all for being so patient for such a long meeting, but I think we did
Yeah.
discuss a lot of extremely important issues. Thank you to Ally and Chris very much. And we will be meeting for hearing from them again in the past. And I'm hoping not to have 2-hour meetings every time. So I would like to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, very good.
Thank you,
Thank you all.
everyone.
I will
Good night,
see you on
everybody.